I met a gypsy.
For whatever reason, I was just completely obsessed. And I've spent like a great portion of my life since then wondering why I was so obsessed with something that I wasn't necessarily that good at. So I just wonder if you've got an answer to that.
Well, I have my own answer, and I'd be curious if you actually came up with yours yet. But for me, and this goes back when I was put on a 50 when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I don't remember shit about being 6 years old, but I do remember this.
Yeah.
I remember when I first my dad put me on a PW, and I rode around the house, and I got a little whiskey throttle, and I hit the camper, and I started crying, and my dad's like, well, if you want to keep doing this, you better get back on or else we're going to sell this thing. I got back on, didn't crash the rest of the day, and I just remember this feeling, and it's crazy. I've never been asked this question, but it just came to me. I walked into the garage, and I had, just I forget what kind of gear. I had just old school shit and like quick straps and just was super ghetto. But I just remember having the feeling inside of my stomach that was like, that was the most fun I've ever had, and the most, just the freedom of being able to do what I wanted to do within a space, right? Because obviously you're 6 years old. You can't do shit without your parents, right? But I felt like I didn't have any parents or anyone to talk to or answer to when I was on a motorcycle. Yeah. And that feeling just kept going until my teenage years, because when you're a teenager, you're rebellious, mom and dad don't know shit, whatever. I get on my bike, all of that just goes away. And I thought about, okay, how do I hit this corner faster? Can I jump this? You jump something for the first time. Like, I mean, you know this, like, let's say you jumped a double or this thing out in wherever you're riding before your buddies. That fucking feeling stays with you for weeks. That it stays with inside of your stomach and your head for weeks. I don't know how many times I've driven back from a track and thought about the rut that I hit so good. Yeah. That feeling stays inside of me for the whole ride home. I'm on the phone in a great mood, all because of some dirt and knobbies is what creates this feeling, right? I've dabbled in, I smoked weed twice in my life, never done anything else ever. Don't drink. My wife busts my ass because I don't drink. But this is my alcohol. This is my drugs. I feel like this is why I'm here. Yeah. Like, this is it. Like, that feeling, I want that feeling all the time. And that feeling doesn't have to be winning. Some guys want that feeling for championships and winning. Hell, man, I just want to get that feeling hitting a rut. I want to get that feeling hitting a jump. I want to whip it or do something. Even if I'm 60 years old and if it looks lame as hell, it might feel bitching. Yeah. That's why we do it. Yeah. I feel like that's the reason.
Dude, I mean, I echo so many of those thoughts around it. And it's funny. I was literally in the shower this morning, and then I randomly, like you said, that feeling stays with you. So like the last time I rode, there's this track we got, Griff's gonna know what's up here. There's this little S section that you kind of go through. And the second I had Rones, he's one of our content guys here. And so all the boys at work here, we all ride. And Rones was behind me in this rut, and I just fucking nailed this S section, like out of control. And I thought I was like, dude, I squashed that thing like that. I don't think I could hit that any better. And then Rones, when we come in, Rones was like, holy fuck, you smashed that S section. That was 3 weeks ago. And I thought about it randomly in the shower, and like that feeling of it's stupid. Like, it sounds stupid if you don't know, but you get it. But that what you explained of just being young and then having that freedom, like, and I talked about this with Colby Raha, like we had Colby on the other day. And I mean, like, we grew up in a real fucked up area, and there was a lot of same shit, a lot of drugs, a lot of like fights. Like I was talking to my chick the other day when we were walking down the street, and she said something about it, like being safe. She's just moved here. She was like, being safe. I was like, yeah, we're safe here. And I was like, that's not what it was like when I grew up. Like, we got jumped. Like, we just literally would be walking home from school, dudes would run out and drop their bikes, and then they'd just fucking flog you. So that's like the environment that we grew up in, a constant anxiety, constantly watching your back, and just always worried that something somewhere was going to go down. And I think that that's the thing that just pushed me to bike so much. Like home was safe. Everything was dialed about like the home situation, but it just felt like the environment wasn't dialed. Something about just getting on the bike just made me not think about any of that shit. None of the problems at school, none of the problems of, like the area that we're in, the people that we're around. And it's just this constant thing of, and I remember it from like just a super young age, even just that feeling of you're the one that's in control. Like it's only you riding the bike. And I think that that's where like a lot of people's anxiety comes from. And I think that Brayton actually gave me a book on anxiety, and it's basically the way that the guy defines it is that anxiety comes from feelings of wanting to control something that's essentially not in your control. It's a very basic definition, but I think it's like it pretty much covers what it needs to cover. And I think that that's why the feeling of riding is so special, is because you're in control completely. It's this explosion that's between your legs, and then the rate at which it explodes is controlled by your right hand. And it's really just that simple. And it's like, I really can't think of many ways that you can give a 6-year-old complete control over their life. And then it's almost, there's this feeling of, I don't know, like empowerment that you feel that an adult has given you this explosion to ride. There's just not many, like my dad would not even give me the TV remote that he's given me this Pee-wee 50, So it's like, I think I just completely agree with what you're saying, like there's just such a crazy level of freedom and control over your own existence. And then that is linked to then that feeling of hitting a turn, hitting a rut, winning a race. Like there's all this auxiliary stuff that, people can find meaning in those different areas of it. But yeah, I think that baseline deal. And I mean, look at J-Law, dude. Like, he still rides. Of all the things that he's been through in his life, and I mean, I know a bunch of stuff about him that I wouldn't share, but I mean, he's been through like so much shit. And what does that dude still fucking do? Rides. Right. So like there's that. Here's
the thing too, like it's a special, I have like Travis Preston. He's one of my good friends, and he was a Supercross champion, and he still loves to ride dirt bikes. He works in our industry. Like he still loves it so much. And just like what you said, like we're men. There's a lot of other fucked up shit that we would rather do. Like it's great. Like I would rather be doing this. But then once you're riding a dirt bike, all of that stuff doesn't even matter. You're like, I'm into this right now. Everything else can just wait,
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.